Indonesia. Vast, mysterious, unexplored. Home to 200 million people. For sheer size, energy and diversity, Indonesia is in a class of its own. Of all its 17,000 islands, Sulawesi is the most magical. Isolated by deep ocean trenches, it is home to more unique species than any place on Earth.
This is the biggest frog I've ever seen. It's absolutely amazing.
But Sulawesi is under threat.
When you're sitting in Europe in your armchair watching a natural history programme and thinking, I'd like to make a difference, there is a way you can make a real difference. You can come out and join a project like this one and actually help scientists, because without the volunteers this whole project wouldn't run.
Operation Wallacea is trying to save the rainforests and coral reefs of Sulawesi. Run by scientists, it relies on the hundreds of volunteers who travel here every year. They dive on the coral reefs off the paradise island of Hoga, and they live with the Bajau sea gypsies of Sampella village. In this episode, can our volunteers handle the pace?
A t-shirt could probably get a few pints of sweat out of it.
Yeah.
And will they keep their nerve?
No, but like when four people go off at the same time and nobody waits.
The volunteers only arrived in the jungle yesterday, and Dan Walsh has had a bad night.
I couldn't sleep because it was just incredibly noisy, and Kay kept, she was like in a hammock close by, she kept waking up and flashing a torch and stuff and shouting, Dan? Dan? Is that you? Are you poking me? Is that you? Every 2 hours, so that was just another night where I didn't get any sleep, and wild animals were brushing past me and I just felt like I was going crazy in the jungle.
It's a good way of familiarising people with the forest. We sort of throw them in the deep end under guidance, so they learn a little bit about the forest's environment and how noisy it is at dawn. I mean, that's maybe one of the things that people first notice. They expect rainforests to, are supposed to be fairly quiet. They aren't. They're very, very noisy at dawn.
Yeah, after today's going to be quite a full-on day.
Maybe I'll be the marauding animal tonight.
Slept pretty well for 10 minutes. Got to make the most of that. The rest of it was too noisy, you know.
When everyone, turned their torches off and it was pitch black, I mean, you couldn't see anything. And the noise was incredible around us. Cicadas were going for it, and you can hear twigs cracking to your left and to your right. And it was just lying there in the hammock, realising where I was and what I was doing. I think that was probably the thing that will stick on my mind, is kind of being terrified but being really excited at the same time.
The volunteers have been split into 5 groups. Each group has been given survival rations to last a week.
Okay.
What's the breakfast?
Well, it was just going to be cheese on toast, but now it's mixed with cheese, peanut butter, jam and mayonnaise on toast.
We've been waiting so long. Combination of factors.
Yeah. All the food groups are covered,
You'll find a lot soon about hot water, because they have to boil their own water, and that's a big problem. Because they've got 3 little cans, and it is different. And we will supplement their water, but we want them to try first. And they're like, it's not enough, I can't do it.
And they've got it quite easy.
They've got it really
so
easy.
Dry.
Fires, you can light a fire in 20 seconds.
Boiling the water is taking ages. They said it would take like 5 minutes per pan, but that's without the water falling in. The wood not catching fire, the water not boiling properly and it going yellow and having bits in it. So apart from that, it's great.
I mean, if things get bad, obviously we help them out. We don't want anyone to get dehydrated.
I hate this forest!
We will provide water, but we just want them to do it on their own first. To just realise how difficult it is.
Dan Walsh's group is having problems.
Really, we're just relying on the fire to get us through it, and at the moment there's not much we can do about it because it's not really helping us along.
So what do you know about fires?
Absolutely nothing.
Hard to lie.
To be honest with you. I mean, I've watched a couple of survival programs, but that's about as far as it goes. I've never actually tried to make one.
Our spirits are down, but hopefully it's going to pick up.
You take people through an experience that they wouldn't have had the chance to do anywhere else. They're in an environment that they're not acquainted with, they've never been here before, and you can watch them learn, and the learning curve is so steep, and they come out of it very, very confident. I mean, when they arrive though, they're all like, oh, we don't know anyone, we don't know anything, what's going to happen? And then after this week, they're ready to work, they're happy, they've bonded with people, and they're there for the scientists, which is the main thing.
For the next 3 days, the volunteers will learn all the jungle survival skills that they will need to work in the wilds of Indonesia.
When you're walking, how do you work out that you're going to keep in a straight line? How do you keep on course?
One of the first and most important items on that learning curve is how not to get lost.
You meet them. Yeah, if you're on your own, you'd use a tree or a static object. But you have the advantage of having groups of people, so they can go walking off and you can say, okay, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and then you can just walk to them and you carry on leapfrogging each other like that.
Are the points easy to see?
What exactly are we looking for?
I will tell you.
Do we have to be like a foot away from them before we see them?
To have any hope of tackling serious field work, the volunteers must be able to grasp basic orienteering.
This is the points. It's pink flagging tape.
Armed with a compass, they must now go out into the jungle and track down several points. This will be a test of their navigational skills and their ability to work as a team.
You ready then to sprint out in front?
I'm not running, but yeah, I'm ready.
It's over. Can you see it?
Go.
Go.
Good luck. See you at the end.
Bye bye.
Come on.
See you in 10 minutes.
Jesus.
Not likely.
Up to now, they've never left the beaten track.
Paul, if you can walk down here, it's quite easy.
This will be their first taste of true jungle.
This is the way to travel.
Why do it easily when you take the hard
You can break your ankle. Okay, they're off in that direction. If you get Andy, if you look, there's north. It's 320 that way.
Can't see anybody.
I've always been interested in conservation, but I'm doing like a microbiology medical degree, so something like this was really ideal for me because it meant I got to do science as well as getting to trek through the rainforest at the same time. Where are you? Yeah, you need to go further right.
Where are you? You're
it's
there.
looking good actually, yeah.
Right, Tom's in line perfectly and so's Andy, so I should go on.
I've been to Thailand, but to be honest, that was just a beach bum holiday. It was not realistic at all. It was just literally get into Bangkok, then go down to an island and not see the jungle.
The group is now deep within the reserve and hopelessly lost.
So I'm wondering if it's not sort of like through there somewhere. They wouldn't have put us through there, would they? You can always tell because the cobwebs have disappeared. That's probably on the wrong track.
Just keep your eyes open.
Because that just goes to a dead end. There's no way through that lot. I think we ought to head up the hill. I reckon it'll definitely be up the hill. It's just getting into real thick jungle over there. You can't even walk through it without eating a ton of spiders.
In their race to complete the course, the volunteers have lost any fears they may have had regarding the resident scorpions, spiders and snakes.
Really grab rat. Oh shit.
This reserve is known to contain the deadly bird-eating spider and the pit viper snake.
Whoa.
As the group blunders through their habitat, it's a complete lottery whether or not one of them gets a sting or a bite.
Right, aren't we? Because it's terrain.
Yeah, I wonder if I got it.
We got the clue written down. And we didn't know we were going to be coming up a cliff.
It was very steep.
One week, we were actually quite new at this, it was last year, we decided to hide one of everyone's sandals. So they had one here and we got the leaders to go around and collect one of everyone's sandals and we went and hid them. And then unfortunately they didn't find them, so they came back to camp and they're like, where's my really expensive Tiva? And you're like, well, it's somewhere. And then we realised that we hadn't actually written down where we'd hid what sandal, because, you know, to us it was just a bag of sandals. And we were like, this person wants their really expensive Tiva back and we don't know where it is.
Yeah.
The chainsaws mean that illegal logging could destroy this forest within a year.
I'll speak to that chainsaw going.
No.
You're right.
Just getting torn to shreds by all the rattan and constantly falling over, getting eaten by ants and things. It's really hard going, and it took ages, and it's, you know, everyone was just dripping in sweat.
It's very hot now. A t-shirt could probably get a few pints of sweat out of it.
Yeah. We've been talking about how nice it would be to have a really cold drink.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Or a bit of rain or something.
In the rainforest, it doesn't rain, but it pours. Buckets of it.
Wow! I'm just waiting for it.
Oh, that's all we need. Oh, need to get up there quick.
Well, they'll just think, shit, I didn't bring my waterproof.
So hasty were they in leaving the camp that morning that many have left their bedding and clothing out in the open.
This is like straight up.
Lost again, and nerves are starting to fray.
Yeah, but I mean, still we have to keep the trail going because it's really difficult when you just disappear. No, but like when four people go off at the same time and nobody waits, like when you disappeared over the hill, when you're walking up you don't see that the hill ends, you just think there's no one there. So, you know.
Little do they know that the camp is just a few yards away.
Yeah, where are you?
Whatever bearing it is for 100 metres from.
That's the camp.
Is it?
Yeah.
The ordeal is over. It's time to have a quiet word with the organisers.
Was it alright?
You were miles out on your measurements. What's the problem?
No, we were.
You were.
Your measurements.
are
100 metres is about 300.
C with a big crap with a big capital C.
100 metres is 300 steps.
Got my best trousers muddy now, so I'm really cheesed off. Apart from that, it's good fun, really. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, the only sort of stuff I've done like this before was in the New Forest. Very flat, very dry. If it rains, you jump in your car. This is totally different.
Some of the places were so steep. I was so tired, but glad it's over. Feel proud.
Will the volunteers learn to catch their own lunch? And will they be able to cope with the searing jungle heat? Find out after the break. Soggy, scratched and bitten, the Operation Wallacea volunteers are on their first day of jungle training.
Because it hasn't rained for a long time, so they probably didn't think about it. You know, their hammocks maybe not hung properly, there's stuff that's sticking out of their hammocks outside. They haven't covered their fires up, they haven't kept firewood dry, which is a good lesson because it means that now they've experienced the fact that you do have to be prepared, you do have to think of everything, otherwise you can be stuck with wet boots, wet bag, no fire. That's what you're going to have to do now.
Noodles.
Just noodles.
Well, noodles and bread.
Noodles and bread? Never thought noodles and bread would sound like...
You got to build like a platform. Where's that little pipe on?
Because every time we put rocks on, someone keeps putting more wood on.
Yeah, we've got to keep it going though. It's alright.
Yeah, we're going to end up with like just a massive big chimney, 8 foot long. It's going to be massive.
Do you know how to remedy that?
No. By not putting as much wood on?
No.
Well, that's the other remedy, isn't it?
You pull it out so only 2 sides have
rocks,
and then you can keep poking wood in on the flat so you don't have to stand
That's a devious idea.
I mean, you put people together from totally different backgrounds, put them in a rainforest under leadership of someone like Daddy, for example, who puts them through the paces in terms of trekking, building hammocks, building natural shelters, learning how to navigate. Once they've been through that sort of experience and lived together, they've begun to form quite a strong friendships with people on the expedition. It actually helps later on when they're working with them in similar situations.
So even though you do the same kind of thing, you do, the skills are the same, the lectures are the same, it's completely different depending on the dynamics of the group.
I got attacked by ants, so I'm feeling a bit down at the moment, and I've not had any sleep still, so I feel a bit rotten. But I think the group's gelled all right, and we're quite happy with what we've achieved so far.
Yeah. Boom. Ow.
Dedi's traps are legendary, each infinitely more cunning and deadlier than the last. Whilst the volunteers aren't expected to catch tonight's supper, in the jungle, a slice of bushmeat could one day mean the difference between life and death.
Watching how the traps were made, what you could catch with them, that was particularly good. The information that you could learn off Dedi, hopefully you could draw on if you were in a nightmare situation.
Yeah, do you want to try? You good? Yeah. Yeah.
So that's foul.
Yeah. Right. I try to make them like what I call experiential by learning. So they do. They have experience. They never forget. If in the minimum conditions, anywhere, everywhere they go, no problem. It's not worry.
It's not a good place to stand.
That's good.
Yeah.
Alice gets caught.
Between the legs. Mm.
It's their second day in the jungle, and the volunteers have already begun to adapt to the daily routine of jungle life. This morning they will begin the long march to Camp 2, the most grueling trek of the week. For 3 hours they will have to haul their 20-kilo packs over some of the most punishing terrain in the reserve.
When you're back in Britain, you can usually hear a car or hear a motorway or something. And when you're out here, all you can hear is like animals and birds, and you just don't really believe that you're here. First of all, it's quite hard to fathom that you're actually out in the middle of Indonesia, trekking through a forest, and there's all these amazing things around you.
We do have a couple of times where people have been screaming and shouting and saying, "We didn't know there was going to be hills. They never write this in the literature." And you're just like, well, you know, this is the rainforest, and they're like, "We can't go on, can't walk anymore, can't breathe." And you're just like, well, you can breathe. You obviously can breathe because you're shouting and crying. So if you just concentrate, calm down a bit, you'll be able to walk much easier.
For some reason I thought the rainforest would be flat, and going up and down these hills was absolutely ridiculous.
Doing it in the heat when you really didn't want to go on because you were just sweating buckets left, right and centre. It was just, that was what made it such a challenge, I think, for me.
To survive these temperatures, the volunteers must drink 3 litres of water a day.
So shattered. Never walked so far. I can't believe you paid so much money to come and do it.
I thought there's no way I'm going to make it. A few times I was thinking I really should have gone to the gym.
The jungle claims its first victim. 20-year-old Jennifer has a history of blacking out. The heat and tough terrain has tipped her over the edge.
Keep breathing deep.
I just completely span out, and I knew I was going to go, and gave my rucksack to someone, like undid the buckles, and they like grabbed my rucksack, and I was like,
I'm gonna pass out, and just like fell on the ground.
We'll just give you a rain shower.
Oh,
wow, that's lovely.
I need to drink at all?
Do you want it down your trousers?
I wouldn't mind.
You have this feeling, you know, it's like being drunk. You know that you're gonna go. You feel like you might be sick.
Catherine calls up Karen, the expedition's nurse.
One girl collapsed. She's okay now, and there's just another couple of people who are having a hard time. But she's fine. But we just thought you better have a check before she moves on over.
Sarah is also in the wars.
Okay, we're about 5 minutes from camp, but we'll just wait here. I won't move her until you arrive over.
Jennifer finally makes it to camp too, assisted by Karen, the nurse. Lucky for her that she recognised the warning signs and reacted in time. Disaster. Within minutes of arriving at the camp, the rain returns with a vengeance. While the Indonesian staff sit it out inside the camp's makeshift kitchen, the volunteers battle against the elements. They are tired and hungry. All the available firewood is now soaked. The rain could not have come at a worse time.
We didn't quite know what to expect, to be honest with you. I mean, it's the middle of the jungle, anything can go wrong. I mean, the rain doesn't help.
You soak through to the skin, but at least you get rid of the smell for 5 minutes.
Picking themselves up from this setback won't be easy, but pull through they must if the jungle is not to beat them.
That's it really, we're just hoping to get a decent house together, maybe a porch, granny flat, and then settle down for the night, kick the cat out, and that's it.
Ha 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 ha!